Back in 2018, the entire world, and I mean everyone, held its breath watching one of the most insane rescue missions in modern history. We're talking, of course, about the wild boar soccer team and that incredible international effort to save them from the flooded Tham Luang cave in Thailand. So today, we're going to break down just how in the world they pulled it off.
This was the question on everyone's mind, right? It just sounds like something out of a movie. How do you even begin to rescue 13 people, most of them kids, from a flooded cave 2 miles deep when none of them can even swim? It just felt completely impossible. You've got them trapped in this dark, winding maze of rock, and the only way out is underwater. You have to wonder, how could this story possibly have a happy ending?
Okay, so to really wrap our heads around the solution, we first have to understand just how dire the problem was. Let's rewind a bit and look at how a simple afternoon trip for a soccer team turned into this massive life-or-death crisis.
I mean, it all started so innocently. It was just a team-building trip, maybe a little birthday celebration for one of the boys. They popped into the Tham Luang cave, a place they knew, probably thinking they'd be out in an hour, tops. But then, the monsoon rains hit, and they came early, and they came hard, turning the cave's passages into a raging underwater trap. Just like that, their only way out was gone.
The search started right away, but man, it was desperate. You had local Thai Navy SEALs just battling these rising, muddy waters. Pretty quickly, by June 25th, they had to call in the big guns, expert British cave divers. And then, for 9 agonizing days, nothing, just silence. The world was absolutely fearing the worst. Until, on July 2nd, and this is the moment everyone remembers, 2 British divers surface in this little air pocket, miles inside the cave, and there they are, all 13 of them, alive.
But here's the crazy part. Finding them was just the beginning. The whole world was celebrating, but for the rescuers right there at the cave, the hardest part was just getting started. This was now a race against the rain, sure, but it was also becoming a race against the air itself. I mean, the scale of this operation was just staggering. We're talking about 10,000 people. That is literally the size of a small town, all focused on this one remote mountainside, with one single mission.
And this wasn't just a local effort. No way. This was a massive global coalition. You had 2,000 soldiers, more than 200 divers, 100 government agencies, Thai Navy SEALs working side by side with international specialists from all over. And then you had thousands of volunteers just showing up to cook food, to help redirect water. It was really humanity at its absolute best.
Now, to really get a grip on the danger here, you got to understand what this cave was actually like. And this quote from one of the divers, wow, it just says it all. They said it was like moving through the S-bend of a toilet. This wasn't some leisurely swim. It was a terrifying 5-hour journey through passages so tight that divers had to physically take their oxygen tanks off to squeeze through, and all of this in complete, total darkness.
So, that ticking clock? It wasn't just about the next monsoon. It was the air. Think about it. All the rescuers going in and out, the boys themselves, they were all breathing, and it was causing the oxygen level in their little chamber to drop, fast. It went from a normal 21% down to a dangerously low 15%. At that point, waiting was off the table. The cave itself was becoming toxic.
Okay, so they had to move, and they had to move now. But how? The command center was staring at 4 potential plans, and let me tell you, every single one of them was, well, it was basically impossible. Each one was loaded with unimaginable risk.
So, with another huge monsoon on the way, and the oxygen literally running out, they had to make a choice, a really, really tough one. Let's walk through the 4 impossible options they were looking at.
All right, plan number 1. This one seems logical, right? Just drain the cave. And believe me, they tried. They were pumping out millions and millions of gallons of water. But it was like trying to empty the ocean with a teaspoon. There's just too much water, and with more rain coming, this plan was a non-starter.
Okay, so plan 2, dive them out. This was the most direct route, but also maybe the most terrifying. You're talking about teaching kids who can't swim how to dive, and then taking them through one of the most dangerous underwater cave systems on the planet. I mean, just imagine. One panicked child in those tight spaces could be fatal for them and their rescuer. It was a nightmare scenario.
So, plan 3 was, what if we don't go through the water? What if we go through the mountain? The idea was to drill a new exit from above. The problem? The rock above them was about half a kilometer thick. And even worse, the maps of the cave weren't accurate enough to pinpoint their exact location. Drilling blind like that was a huge gamble, and it would take way, way too long.
And that brings us to Plan 4. Just wait it out. Supply the team inside the cave with food and essentials until the rainy season ends, which could be months away, like in November. At first, this actually sounded like the safest option. But remember that oxygen problem? With the air running out, waiting was no longer safe. It was basically a death sentence, not to mention the risk that the whole chamber could flood at any moment.
So, there you have it. 4 impossible options. With their backs against the wall, they were forced to pick the least terrible one and then innovate like crazy. What came next was a 3-a-day miracle. An operation so daring, it defies belief. The decision was made. They were going with Plan 2, the riskiest one. They were going to dive the boys out. But, and this is the key, they came up with a radical approach to prevent panic. It was controversial, and it had never been tried before. The boys wouldn't be diving. They'd be cargo. They would be brought out unconscious. And so, the 3-day extraction began. It unfolded with absolute military precision. On July 8th, the first 4 boys came out. Mission success. On July 9th, 4 more were brought to safety. And then, on July 10th, the final push. The last 4 boys and their coach were rescued, and the mission was complete. The method itself was just pure genius. So here's how it worked. Each boy was given a dose of ketamine and Xanax to keep them completely unconscious. No panic. They were fitted with a full-face oxygen mask, strapped onto a flexible stretcher, and then basically passed from diver to diver in a kind of human daisy chain through those dark, narrow passages.
But this incredible success, it did come at a tragic cost. We absolutely have to pause and honor the memory of Suman Gunan. He was a former Thai Navy SEAL, a volunteer who lost his life while placing oxygen tanks along the route. He made the ultimate sacrifice so that those boys could live.
So when you look at the whole thing, you have to ask, how did they actually pull this off? Well, it wasn't just courage and it wasn't just luck. The entire mission was basically a masterclass in crisis management. And it gives us a kind of secret playbook for how to handle the impossible. You can actually map the whole thing to a classic emergency management framework. First, you have preparedness. That was them assembling all the international experts and weighing all 4 of those crazy options. Then came the response, the search, the initial aid, and that 3-day rescue. After that, recovery, getting the boys to the hospital for immediate medical and psychological care. And finally, mitigation, looking at the cave and figuring out how to stop this from ever happening again.
And that really leaves us with a final big question. I mean, after one of the greatest rescues in modern history, what can we learn from it? This mission proved that when people come together, with expertise, with courage, and just a stubborn refusal to give up, the impossible can actually become possible. So it makes you wonder, what can we take away from this incredible story to solve our own impossible problems?